Vishnupad Ashtatara Shatashmad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitil Vishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shatashmad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitil Vishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shatashmad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitil Pavishta Mahabhagavat Srila Gorksharas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitil Pavishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Nitil Pavishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Raghunathas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Padadash Raghunath Shara Gosai Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai. Namachay Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल व्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदाते गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंज श्याम कुंज की जय। श्री मुन देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योगमाया की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्-भागवतम की जय। श्रीनिताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि बोल। Is it showing my screen properly? Yes, it is. Okay. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad-Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha. Guruve Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tada Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Yam Prabhajantam Anupetam Apeta Krityam Dvaipayano Virakatara Ajuhavo Putreti Tanmayataya Taravo Vinedustam Sarvabhuta Hridaya Munimanatosmi. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet. Shrinvatang Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanam Redantastaya Bhadrani Vedunati Surat Satam. Nashta Prayeshvabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavaduttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Tavai Vasmi Najivami Tvaya Vinam Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayamam Charanantikam. Bhaktya Vihina Aparadha Lakshay Kshiptashtakamal Titarangamadhe Kripa Maitam Sharanam Prapana Vrinde Namaste Charanaravindam. Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare Hare. Haribol, Shri Mataji, and everyone else. Yeah, sorry I'm late today. Yesterday and today, right when I was about to start, I all of a sudden got a call of nature, and then took took a full bath and all that kind of stuff. And so that's why I've been late these 2 past days. So I won't spend too much time on the recap today, but just what we read yesterday. Devotee, she asks more details about bhakti. So that's her 5th question. The nature of time, and also the cycle of birth and death. And then she glorifies Kapila. And then Kapila Dev, he describes the different classes of bhakti. He describes the performers of bhakti in the 3 modes, in ignorance, passion, and goodness. And then characteristics of pure bhakti beyond the 3 modes, nirgun bhakti. And we read a couple very important verses that are worth memorizing. That's what we read up to yesterday. And actually, the power went out and I didn't notice, and I kept on reading on, and but it cut out at verse 13, and I read 14. So I'll just read 14 again today, since I didn't do it live. But yeah, performers of bhakti in the 3 modes: ignorance. The performer of bhakti, intentions of envy, violence, pride, and anger. They perform bhakti with these intentions. Separatist mentality, devoid of compassion, desires for objects other than the Lord, desires for liberation. Okay, so the performer of bhakti in ignorance, they have no compassion. Their bhakti has no compassion. They're completely devoid of compassion. The performer of bhakti in passion, he desires objects other than the Lord. And the performer of bhakti in goodness, he desires liberation. So, but nirguna bhakti, bhakti that's beyond the 3 modes, they have no material desire. None of these, in the mode of ignorance, passion, or goodness. They're completely beyond any of those 3 things. They don't want liberation. See, we read that verse. Salokya sashi samipya sarupakatam apita diyamanam nagrinanti vina mat sevanam jana. Even if the 5 kinds of liberations, because there's ekatvam, that we read about yesterday, even if they're offered, even if they're given to the devotee doesn't accept it, because the devotee only wants my service. So the devotee is happy to live in hell. The devotee is happy to live anywhere. The only thing the devotee cares about is serving the Lord with love, prem bhakti. So, okay, so now let's read from where we are. Oh my God, it's 7:27. So today's just going to be a half-hour reading. I might not be able to read up to verse 24 like I wrote. We'll see where we get to. Okay. Sa eva bhakti yogakya atyantika udahrita yena tivra jatri gunam arbhavayo papadyate. Undanda pranams Pramila Mataji Haribo. By attaining the highest platform of devotional service, as I have explained, one can overcome the influence of the 3 modes of material nature and be situated in the transcendental stage, as is the Lord. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Shripad Shankaracharya, who is supposed to be the leader of the impersonalist school of philosophers, has admitted in the beginning of his comments on Bhagavad-Gita that Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is beyond the material creation. Except for him, everything is within the material creation. It is also confirmed in the Vedic literature that before the creation, there was only Narayan. Neither Lord Brahma nor Lord Shiva existed. Only Narayan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu or Krishna, is always in the transcendental position, beyond the influence of material creation. The material qualities of goodness, passion, and ignorance cannot affect the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he is called Nirguna, free from all tinges of material qualities. Here the same fact is confirmed by Lord Kapila. One who is situated in pure devotional service is transcendentally situated, as is the Lord. Just as the Lord is unaffected by the influence of the material modes, so too are his pure devotees. One who is not affected by the three modes of material nature is called a liberated soul, or Brahmabhuta soul. Brahmabhuta Prasannatma. That is the stage of liberation. Oh shoot, I forgot what it said here. I am not this body. I think it said Aham Brahmasmi. Anyways, Aham Brahmasmi. I am not this body. This is applicable only to the person who engages in the devotional service of Krishna and is thus in the transcendental stage. He is above the influence of the three modes of material nature. It is the conception of the impersonalists that one can worship any imaginary form of the Lord, or Brahman, and at the end merge in the Brahman effulgence. Of course, to merge into the bodily effulgence, the Brahman of the Supreme Lord, is also liberation, as explained in the previous verse. Ekatva is also liberation, but that sort of liberation is never accepted by any devotee, for qualitative oneness is immediately attained as soon as one is situated in devotional service. Oops. Sorry. For a devotee, that qualitative equality, which is a result of impersonal liberation, is already attained. He does not have to try for it separately. It is clearly stated here that simply by pure devotional service, one becomes qualitatively as good as the Lord himself. Okay, yes, it does say Aham Brahmasmi here. I was right. I am not this body. Aham Brahmasmi. Okay. Nishevitena nimitena Nishevitena nimitena swadharmena mahiyasa kriya yogena shastena nati hingstrena nityasha. A devotee must execute his prescribed duties, which are glorious and without material profit. Without excessive violence, one should regularly perform one's devotional activities. Purport. One has to execute his prescribed duties according to his social position as a Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Sudra. The prescribed duties of the four classes of men in human society are also described in Bhagavad-Gita. The activities of Brahmins are to control the senses and to become simple, clean, learned devotees. The Kshatriyas have the spirit for ruling. They are not afraid on the battlefield, and they are charitable. The Vaishyas are the mercantile class of men, trade in commodities, protect cows, and develop agricultural produce. The Sudras, or laborer class, serve the higher classes because they themselves are not very intelligent. From every position, as confirmed in Bhagavad-Gita, Swakarmana tam abhyarchya, one can serve the Supreme Lord by performing one's prescribed duty. It is not that only the Brahmins can serve the Supreme Lord, and not the Sudras. Anyone can serve the Supreme Lord by performing his prescribed duties under the direction of a spiritual master, or representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No one should think that his prescribed duties are inferior. A Brahmin can serve the Lord by using his intelligence, and the Kshatriya can serve the Lord by using his military arts, just as Arjuna served Krishna. Arjuna was a warrior. He had no time to study Vedanta or other highly intellectual books. The damsels of Rajdam were girls born of the Vaishya class, and they engaged in protecting cows and producing agriculture. Krishna's foster father, Nanda Maharaj, and his associates were all Vaishyas. They were not at all educated, but they could serve Krishna by loving him and by offering everything to him. Similarly, there are many instances in which Chandalas, or those lower than Shudras have served Krishna. Also, the sage Vidura was considered a Sudra because his mother happened to be a Shudra. There are no distinctions, for it is declared by the Lord in Bhagavad-Gita that anyone engaged specifically in devotional service is elevated to the transcendental position without a doubt. Everyone's prescribed duty is glorious if it is performed in devotional service of the Lord, without desire for profit. Such loving service must be performed without reason, without impediment, and spontaneously. Krishna is lovable, and one has to serve him in whatever capacity one can. That is pure devotional service. Another significant phrase in this verse is nati hingsrena, with minimum violence or sacrifice of life. Even if a devotee has to commit violence, it should not be done beyond what is necessary. Sometimes the question is put before us. You ask us not to eat meat, but you are eating vegetables. Do you think that is not violence? The answer is that eating vegetables is violence, and vegetarians are also committing violence against other living entities because vegetables also have life. Non-devotees are killing cows, goats, and so many other animals for eating purposes, and a devotee who is vegetarian is also killing. But here, significantly, it is stated that every living entity has to live by killing another living entity. That is the law of nature. Jivo jivasya jivanam. One living entity is the life for another living entity. But for a human being, that violence should be committed only as much as necessary. A human being is not to eat anything which is not offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yagya shishta shina santa. One becomes freed from all sinful reactions by eating foodstuffs which are offered to Yagya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A devotee therefore eats only prasad, or foodstuffs offered to the Supreme Lord. And Krishna says that when a devotee offers him foodstuffs from the vegetable kingdom with devotion, he eats that. A devotee is to offer Krishna foodstuffs prepared from vegetables. If the Supreme Lord wanted foodstuffs prepared from animal food, the devotee could offer this, but he does not order to do that. We have to commit violence. That is a natural law. We should not, however, commit violence extravagantly, but only as much as ordered by the Lord. Arjuna engaged in the art of killing, and although killing is, of course, violence, he killed the enemy simply on Krishna's order. In the same way, if we commit violence as it is necessary by the order of the Lord, that is called nati hingsa. We cannot avoid violence, for we are put into conditional life in which we have to commit violence. But we should not commit more violence than necessary or than ordered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Madishna darshana sparsha pujastutya bivandanai bhuteshu mar bhavanaya sattvena sangamena cha. The devotee should regularly see my statuses in the temple, touch my lotus feet, and offer worshipable paraphernalia and prayer. He should see in the spirit of renunciation from the mode of goodness, and see every living entity as spiritual. Purport. Temple worship is one of the duties of a devotee. It is especially recommended for neophytes, for those who are advanced, should not refrain from temple worship. There is a distinction in the manner of a neophyte and an advanced devotee. In the manner a neophyte and an advanced devotee appreciate the Lord's presence in the temple. There's a different distinction. A neophyte considers the Archa Vigraha, the statue of the Lord, to be different from the original personality of Godhead. He considers it a representation of the Supreme Lord in the form of a deity. But an advanced devotee accepts the deity in the temple as the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. He does not see any difference between the original form of the Lord and the statue, or archa form of the Lord, in the temple. This is a division of a devotee whose devotional service is in the highest stage of bhav, or love of Godhead, whereas a neophyte's worship in the temple is a matter of routine duty. Temple deity worship is one of the functions of a devotee. He goes regularly to see the deity nicely decorated, and with veneration and respect, he he touches the lotus feet to the Lord and offers offerings of worship, such as fruits, flowers, and prayers. At the same time, to advance in devotional service, a devotee should see other living entities as spiritual sparks, parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. A devotee is to offer respect to every living entity that has a relationship with the Lord, because every living entity originally has a relationship with the Lord as part and parcel. And therefore, a devotee should try to see all living entities on the same equal level of spiritual existence. As stated in Bhagavad-Gita, a pundit, one who is learned, sees equally a very learned Brahman, a Shudra, a hog, a dog, and a cow. He does not see the body, which is only an outward dress. He does not see the dress of a Brahman, or that of a cow or of a hog. He sees the spiritual spark, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. If a devotee does not see every living entity as part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, he is considered prakrita bhakta, or materialistic devotee. He is not completely situated on the spiritual platform. Rather, he is in the lowest stage of devotion. He does, however, show all respect to the deity. Although a devotee sees all living entities on the level of spiritual existence, he is not interested in associating with everyone. Simply because a tiger is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord does not mean that we embrace him because of his spiritual relationship with the Supreme Lord. We must associate only with persons who have developed Krishna consciousness. We should befriend and offer special respect to persons who are developed in Krishna consciousness. Other living entities are undoubtedly part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, but because their consciousness is still covered and not developed in Krishna consciousness, we should renounce their association. It is said by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that even if one is a Vaishnava, if he is not of good character, his company should be avoided, although he may be offered the respect of a Vaishnava. Anyone who accepts Vishnu as a Supreme Personality of Godhead is accepted as a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava is expected to develop all the good qualities of the demigods. The exact meaning of the word sattvena is given by Sridhar Goswami as being synonymous with dharyena, or patience. One must perform devotional service with great patience. One should not give up the execution of devotional service because one or two attempts have not been successful. One must continue. Sri Rupa Goswami also confirms that one should be very enthusiastic and execute devotional service with patience and confidence. Patience is necessary for developing the confidence that Krishna will certainly accept me because I am engaging in devotional service. One has only to execute devotional service according to the rules and regulations to ensure success. Mahatang bahumanena dinanam anukampaya maitrachaivatmatulyeshu yamena niyamena cha. Radhe Radhe Gargraj. The pure devotee should execute devotional service by giving the greatest respect to the spiritual master and the acharyas. He should be compassionate to the poor and make friendship with persons who are his equals. But all his activities should be executed under regulation and with control of the senses. So first, giving respect to the spiritual master and the acharyas, being compassionate to the poor, making friendship with those who are his equals, and all activities should be under regulation within the control of the senses. This is almost like, anyways. Yeah, it seems like this previous verse is explaining what a Kanishta, more about Kanishta, is talking about deity worship. Right? This is almost talking like, this seems like about Kanishta Adhikaris. This seems more like Madhyama Adhikaris, how they deal with everybody else, with the spiritual master, with those who are similar to the verses in the 11th canto. Anyhow, In Bhagavad-Gita 13th chapter, it is clearly stated that one should execute devotional service and advance in the path of spiritual knowledge by accepting the acharya. Acharya-upasana. One should worship an acharya, a spiritual master who knows things as they are. The spiritual master must be in a disciplic succession from Krishna. The predecessors of the spiritual master are his spiritual master, his grand spiritual master, his great grand spiritual master, and so on, who form the disciplic succession of acharyas. It is recommended herewith that all of the acharyas be given the highest respect. It is stated, Gurushu Naramati. Gurushu means unto the acharyas, and Naramati means thinking like a common man. To think of the Vaishnavas, the devotees, as belonging to a particular caste or community, to think of the acharyas as ordinary men, or to think of the deity in the temple as being made of stone, wood, or metal is condemned. Archavishushiladir Gurushu Naramatir. How does that verse start? I think that's how it starts. Anyways, that's a translation to that verse. Niyamena. One should offer the greatest respect to the acharyas according to the standard regulations. A devotee should also be compassionate to the poor. This does not refer to those who are poverty-stricken materially. According to devotional vision, a man is poor if it is not in Krishna consciousness. A man may be very rich materially, but if he is not Krishna conscious, he is considered poor. On the other hand, many acharyas, such as Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, used to live beneath trees every night. Superficially, it appeared that they were poverty-stricken. But from their writings, we can understand, in spiritual life, they were the richest personalities. A devotee shows compassion to those poor souls who are wanting in spiritual knowledge by enlightening them in order to elevate them to Krishna consciousness. That is one of the duties of a devotee. He should also make friendship with persons who are on equal level with himself, or who have the same understanding that he does. For a devotee, there is no point in making friendships with ordinary persons. He should make friendship with other devotees so that by discussing among themselves, they may elevate one another on the path of spiritual understanding. This is called Ishta Goshti. In Bhagavad-Gita, there is reference to Bodhayanta Parasparam, discussing among themselves. Generally, pure devotees utilize their valuable time in chanting and discussing various activities of Lord Krishna or Lord Chaitanya amongst themselves. There are innumerable books, such as the Puranas, Mahabharata, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad-Gita, and Upanishads, which contain countless subjects for discussion among two devotees or more. Friendship should be cemented between persons with mutual interests and understanding. Such persons are said to be swajati, of the same caste. The devotee should avoid a person whose character is not fixed in the standard understanding. Even though he may be a Vaishnava, or devotee of Krishna, if his character is not correctly representative, then he should be avoided. One should steadily control the senses and the mind, and strictly follow the rules and regulations, and he should make friendship with persons of the same standard. Adhyatmikan Shravanam Nama Sankirtanachame Arjavenarya Sangena Nirahankriyaya Tata. A devotee should always try to hear about spiritual matters and should always utilize his time in chanting the holy name of the Lord. His behavior should always be straightforward and simple. And although he is not envious but friendly to everyone, he should avoid the company of persons who are not spiritually advanced. Purport. In order to advance in spiritual understanding, one has to hear from authentic sources about spiritual knowledge. One can understand the reality of spiritual life by following strict regulative principles and by controlling the senses. To have control, it is necessary that one be non-violent and truthful, refrain from stealing, abstain from sex life, and possess only that which is absolutely necessary for keeping the body and soul together. One should not eat more than necessary. He should not collect more paraphernalia than necessary. He should not talk unnecessarily with common men. And he should not follow the rules and regulations without purpose. He should follow the rules and regulations so that he may actually make advancement. There are 18 qualifications mentioned in Bhagavad-Gita, among which is simplicity. One should be without pride. One should not demand unnecessary respect from others, and one should be non-violent. Amanitvam adampitvam ahimsa. One should be very tolerant and simple. One should accept the spiritual master, and one should control the senses. These are mentioned here in Bhagavad-Gita as well. One should hear from authentic sources how to advance in spiritual life. Such instruction should be taken from the Acharya and should be assimilated. It is especially mentioned here, Nam Sankirtanach Cha. One should chant the holy names of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, either individually or with others. Lord Chaitanya has given special stress to chanting these holy names of the Lord as the basic principle of spiritual advancement. Another word used here is arjavena, meaning without diplomacy. A devotee should not make plans out of self-interest. Of course, preachers sometimes have to make some plan to execute the mission of the Lord under proper guidance. But regarding this personal self-interest, regarding his personal self-interest, a devotee should always be without diplomacy and should never avoid the company of persons who are not advancing in spiritual life. I'm just curious, what's the dictionary definition of diplomacy? The profession, activity, or skill of managing international relations, typically by a country's representative, by countries' representatives abroad, or also the art of dealing with people in a sensitive and tactful way. Okay, so I'm seeing this as, well, tell me what you think in the comments, but a devotee should always be without diplomacy. I'm understanding that as meaning that a devotee shouldn't just try to please everybody, like just tell people what they want to hear because it's pleasurable, but they should be fearless, not just trying to please people, but speak the truth as it is, whether it is palatable for people or not. Is that the right understanding? Tell me what you think. Another word is Arya. Aryans are persons who are advancing in knowledge of Krishna consciousness as well as in material prosperity. The difference between the Aryan and non-Aryan, the Sura and the Asura, is in their standards of spiritual advancement. Association with persons who are not spiritually advanced is forbidden. Lord Chaitanya advised, Asat Sanga Tyag. One should avoid persons who are attached to the temporary. Asat is one who is too materially attached, who is not a devotee of the Lord, and who is too attached to women or enjoyable material things. Such a person, according to Vaishnava philosophy, is a persona non grata. I love these words. I wonder if this is in the dictionary. Yes. An unacceptable or unwelcome person. It's a Latin. Oh, grata. Persona non grata. A devotee should not be proud of his acquisitions. The symptoms of a devotee are meekness and humility. Although spiritually very advanced, he will always remain meek and humble, as Kaviraj and all the other Vaishnavas have taught us by personal example. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught that one should be humbler than the grass on the street and more tolerant than a tree. One should not be very proud or falsely puffed up. In this way, one will surely advance in spiritual life. Madharmano guner etai parishangshuddha ashaya purushasyanjasa bhyeti shrutamatra gunam hima. When one is fully qualified with all these transcendental attributes and his consciousness is thus completely purified, he is immediately attracted simply by hearing my name or hearing of my transcendental quality. Purport. In the beginning of this instruction, the Lord explained to his mother that Mad Guna Shruti Matrena, simply by hearing of the name, quality, form, etc. of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is immediately attracted. A person becomes fully qualified with all transcendental qualities by following the rules and regulations, as recommended in different scriptures. We have developed certain unnecessary qualities by material association, and by following the above process, we become free from that contamination. To develop transcendental qualities, as explained in the previous verse, one must become free from these contaminated qualities. Yatavata granam avrinkte gandha ashayat evam yoga ratam cheta atmanam avikariyat. As the chariot of air carries an aroma from its source and immediately catches the senses of smell, similarly, one who constantly engages in devotional service and Krishna consciousness can catch the Supreme Soul, who is equally present everywhere. Purport. As a breeze carrying a pleasant fragrance from a garden of flowers at once captures the organ of smell, so one's consciousness, saturated with devotion, can at once capture the transcendental existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who, in his Paramatma feature, is present everywhere, even in the heart of every living being. It is stated in Bhagavad-Gita that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Kshetragya, present within this body, but he is also simultaneously present in every other body. Since the individual soul is present only in a particular body, he is altered when another individual soul does not cooperate with him. The Supersoul, however, is equally present everywhere. Individual souls may disagree, but the Supersoul, being equally present in every body, is called unchanging or avikari. The individual soul, when fully saturated with Krishna consciousness, can understand the presence of the Supersoul. It is confirmed in Bhagavad-Gita that bhaktya mam abhijananti. A person saturated with devotional service and full Krishna consciousness can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead either as Supersoul or as the Supreme Person. Aham sarveshu bhuteshu bhutatma vastita sada tam avagyaya mamartya kurutercha vidambanam. I am present in every living entity as a supersoul. If someone neglects or disregards that supersoul everywhere and engages himself in the worship of the deity in the temple, that is simply imitation. Purport. In purified consciousness, or Krishna consciousness, one sees the presence of Krishna everywhere. If, therefore, one only engages in deity worship in the temple and does not consider other living entities, then he is in the lowest grade of devotional service. One who worships the deity in the temple and does not show respect to others is a devotee on the material platform, in the lowest stage of devotional service. A devotee should try to understand everything in relationship with Krishna and try to serve everything in that spirit. To serve everything means to engage everything in the service of Krishna. If a person is innocent and does not know his relationship with Krishna, an advanced devotee should try to engage him in the service of Krishna. One who is advanced in Krishna consciousness can engage not only the living being, but everything in the service of Krishna. Okay, let's just read this one. Yomam sarveshu bhuteshu santam atmanamishvaram Hitvarcham bhajate modyad bhasmanyeva juhotisa. One who worships the deity of Godhead in the temples, but does not know that the Supreme Lord, as Paramatma, is situated in every living entity's heart, must be in ignorance, and is compared to one who offers oblations into ashes. Purport. It is clearly stated herein that the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his plenary expansion of Supersoul is present in all living entities. The living entities have 8,400,000 different kinds of bodies, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead is living in every body, both as the individual soul and as a supersoul. I don't get this. How is the Supreme Personality of Godhead?
It's 8 o'clock.
Anyways, it's 8 o'clock already, so I need to finish. Since the individual soul is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, in that sense, the Lord is living in every body. And as super soul, the Lord is also present as a witness. Okay, now it makes sense. Srila Prabhupada clarified. Okay, in both cases, the presence of God in every living entity is essential. Therefore, persons who profess to belong to some religious sect, but who do not feel the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in every living